Hi, my name is Riley Van, and I am finishing up my project here. It's about life affirmation, and I wanted to focus on the strategies for dealing with death through the art with examples. Um, and here we go. So, the definition of life affirmation stated from our text is the belief that life is essentially good and worth living, the ability to free oneself from unnecessary burdens of guilt and a lack of self esteem, as well as fear of growing older and eventually having to die. The different strategies listed in the book for coping with death is avoidance, humor, magnifying/beautifying, and medicalization. My first media example is the painting of the death of the General Wolfe. It was painted in 1770 by an Anglo-American artist, Benjamin West. The death is of the British General James Wolfe during the 1759 Battle of Quebec of the Seven Years' War. Um, West depicts General Wolfe as a Christ-like figure, as everyone is around him as he's passing, similar to when Christ passed. The painting has a triangular composition with the flag and then the two people at the base. The death is depicted in the painting rather uniquely. Everyone gathered around the general, no matter the side, with the Indian, with the different coats and everything as the battle is going on, and almost as time has stopped to recognize and honor him, and death comes with honor in a way that as he peacefully leaves. This is a great example of a tribute to one's life, leaving a heroic memory. With the use of the art, the general's death is being magnified and beautified. So we've talked about that in the beginning as one of the coping mechanisms. Magnifying and slash beautifying is they're grouped together, and it's a way of wanting to be remembered. Everyone wants to be remembered as they pass, and so a lot of the times things such as death is magnified, especially with the death of celebrity. And at that time, that General Wolfe was a celebrity, so I'm sure in that situation, not everyone was flocked around him, especially of all different coats and all of different cultures, but here it is being depicted as so. And what's really important to realize is by magnifying this, by showing maybe a little bit of exaggeration of his death, they're recognizing the true quality of the pain and we're going to go through as everyone will die. My second media choice was the literature use of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Now, I used the picture from the movie because I liked the picture. So obviously the book and the movie are both media types, but I wanted to focus on the literature. I know I wrote a lot, but I will read it out loud. I wanted to leave it just in case you wanted to go back to it. In the literature series, Harry Potter death follows the main character his entire life. His parents die when he was a baby. His mentor and only real family left, Sirius Black, dies. Then eventually Albus Dumbledore, among others. The Deathly Hallows is the last book in the series that builds up to the climax of trying to stop Lord Voldemort, who is Harry's #1 enemy. In the short summary, Voldemort splits his soul into many different objects to avoid death. Voldemort shows the fear most have with death, as they don't want to pass. They don't know what's going on, after you die. In the final hour, Harry finds out in order to completely finish Voldemort, he must in return kill himself, as Voldemort unknowingly accidentally split a part of his soul with Harry when he killed his parents. Knowing the truth of death, Harry is killed by Voldemort. After death, Harry awakens in what is known as the King's Cross Station, where he finds no other than Dumbledore, who had already passed. And Dumbledore explains that because they were linked, Harry was actually protected from Voldemort killing him because he actually killed the unknown part of himself within Harry. He continues to tell Harry that he will be able to return to his body, that he was then the true master of the Hallows by facing death head on, not by seeking to avoid or conquer it like Voldemort. I picked this because it's such a great example of two of the coping mechanisms. One, Harry is again being magnified as a celebrity, and he is, it's beautifying death, as in he died in sacrifice. He died because he had to, and in return, it gives a whole other side to the afterlife in which Harry got to come back. Avoidance is a really great use in this book because Voldemort is so scared of dying that he splits his soul so many times that he creates a monster with himself. Every time he splits his soul, he looks completely different. I myself am a Harry Potter geek, so I'm glad that I was able to use this in my project. And again, I apologize for the larger paragraphs. I just wanted to leave it on there so that you have something if you need to read it. Let's see here. But speaking of the avoidance, they avoid it because they don't want to accept it. And like, for example, in my own life, I avoid talking. My grandmother talks about wanting to die, like not wanting to die, but what I'm going to get when she dies. And she's like, oh, you should just put post-it notes on things that you want. And I just feel like that's so morbid, but that dealing with this and reading about it, I realized that that's because of how people avoid death. And I'm still in the stages of avoiding death because I'm younger. And in the book, it actually states that the younger people usually avoid they feel more immortal. So I thought that was interesting to tie in my own life. My third and final was the film Beetlejuice. Barbara and Adam Middleton drive back from a trip to town. They crash their car and they are killed. In the story, that's how it starts. The story carries on with the couple going home as ghosts, but at first they don't know it, and then they find out. Once the house is sold to the new owners from the city, they move in and change everything, which really upsets the couple. And then they try to scare them out of the house, which is super unsuccessful. The family has a daughter, and then she becomes friends with the ghosts because she can see them. And the ghost couple then hire Beetlejuice to try to scare the family out, which doesn't actually work. So, long story short, the storyline continues with Beetlejuice wreaking havoc on them all and plots a marriage proposal and all these silly things in the movie. And in true movie fashion, Beetlejuice is unsuccessful and they live happily ever after. This light, upbeat take on death and afterlife sheds a light that after death may just be the beginning. Death in this film was handled with humor at its finest. Humor is used as a death coping mechanism to suppress, worry, and it's better to do than to suppress. So that I found was really fun, a funny version of what's going to go on after you die. So I really liked this example. And so I picked two different links. Both of them are paint and media art relations, and you can click on each of the art pieces and go and read about each and every piece that is used in each of these. I liked both of them because I could click on the piece and then read more about it. I also on this page as a filler put two more examples of TV and movie Jaws. Just because recently we were talking about Jaws, and it is actually one of the scariest movies to this day. It has hit major records, and so many people avoid death because, and this is a great example of, this movie came out and the beaches were empty. People did not go to the beaches because they were so worried about sharks, and this movie was done so well that it created that fear, and then it created that avoidance. So by avoiding it, they avoided death. ER is the last piece that we didn't talk about, but it is the medicalization of coping, is learning all of the nitty-gritty of how to die and why to die and how does it happen, and it tries to give people a greater, and it's just a coping mechanism. It's just trying to figure out why people die and how they do it and how to avoid it or how to accept it. And then here's my works cited. I also attached a famous book from the 60s. It's a classic about a father who writes about his son having cancer. So it kind of ties into the medicalization again that I wasn't able to use with my three examples, and a little bit of avoidance. It's called Death Be Not Proud by John Gunther. And this is my works cited, so I use all of my little pieces here, what I used. And my mother-in-law, actually, she gave me the idea for Death Be Not Proud, so I was really excited about that, and I might actually go and try reading it. So I hope you liked my presentation, and I really enjoyed this class. Thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful night.